So hi everyone and welcome back. In today's video we are going to implement the concept of looping in printing patterns using loops. Generally there are two kinds of pattern. One is the series pattern and another one is the shape pattern. In this video we are going to only concentrate on series pattern, and shape pattern we will see in the next video. Okay. So let's see what are the types of pattern we can print. Now see, there are different types of pattern which can be printed in using the concept of looping, but I have considered only this 4 types and 5 types of pattern to be printed in today's lecture. Okay, and if any additional special type also come, they will come in separate videos. Okay, so let's see the first type, that is printing this vertical bars. Okay, now see, if I tell you to count the number of vertical bars, it is n terms, that is which is the user input. What is n? N is user input. If I change the color of my ink to white, so what is n? N is user input. Okay, so for these things we usually run 2 loops. Why 2 loops? See here, because one loop will count the number of terms. Okay, that is, this is term number 1. Okay, this is term number 2, this is term number 3, term number 4, and dot 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 up to n. So we need 2 loops. So one loop will count number of terms. Okay, and if there is another loop, okay, there also has to be another loop which will count the number of vertical bars inside every term. Now see here, here is only 1 vertical bar, here is 2 vertical bars, here is 3 vertical bars, right, and here is 4, and like this it is keeping on increasing up to n. So what will be the number of vertical bar in the nth term? It will be n vertical bars, n bars you can say, right, and there also has to be like another loop will count number of vertical bars. So 2 loops. One loop is counting the number of terms and one loop is counting the number of vertical bars, or you can call it vertical lines. Okay, so first what we are going to do, first we are going to make the loop which will count the number of terms. Okay, and inside that loop we are going to make the loop which will count the number of vertical bar inside each term. Okay, and once the number of vertical bar is getting printed, we will leave a space, that is this space, and we will next concentrate to printing the next term. Okay, this is a space between the 2 terms, if you can see my annotation. Okay, so what will be the extent of the first loop, that is counting the number of terms, that is up to n. Okay, so let's write our first loop as I loop. So let's write over here. So it will be for I equal to 1, I less than equal to n, I plus plus. So what is this loop doing? This first loop is counting the number of terms. Number of terms. Alright. Now see how will be the structure of the next loop, that is the loop inside the first loop which is counting the number of vertical bars. Now see here, if I make a calculation over here, this is the term number, okay, and this is number of bars. Okay, now see, in term number 1, what is the number of vertical bars? That is 1. Okay, in term number 2, number of vertical bars is 2, right? If I do the same thing over here, okay, this is term number tn and this is bar number. Okay, so in term number 3, number of bars 3, in term number 4, number of bars 4, and like this, when it will be term number n, the number of bars will be n, right? So what we can conclude from here, the number of bar is increasing as the number of term is increasing, right? So who is counting the number of term? This is I is counting the number of term, that is the I loop. So how long will the next loop run? The next loop will run up to the limit it reaches the value of I and will print the bars consecutively, right? So if we write the next loop like this, for j equal to 1 and j less than equal to I, right? I hope I am Getting you clear the thing? Okay. So why will the J loop run up to I? Because I is the number of term, that is the term number, and the number of bar is also the same as the term number. So the number of bar or the J loop will go up to the I, right? So this was the looping structure. Now what we will print inside the loop? We will simply print bars inside the J loop. Printf in quotes the bar, right? And after this loop will print the bars. Now after the bar is printed, we have to leave this much amount of space, right, between the terms. So how will we print that space? We will print printf, and in quotes we will leave some gap space, and then our program is done. So let's see in our VS Code. So our code was like this, that is the main looping part was like this. So let's see how we do this in our VS Code. So let's go to VS Code. So we are in our VS Code, and let's erase everything except the first line, which is accepting the value of n from the user. So as per our question, we will do the answer. So let's write the same loop over here, which we designed in the slide. So it will be for int I equal to 1, I less than equal to n, then I plus plus. Then for int j equal to 1, j less than equal to I, j plus plus, I'm sorry, okay, and then printf, it will be the bars, and done, and here printf, again printf, and then leave some space to separate the two items, okay, and we are done. So let's see how it's getting printed. So let's run this. So see here, it is asking us for the value of n. Let's give it to 5, and see, we are seeing vertical bars are getting printed accordingly. If we want to change the input, let's run it again, and let's give it to 8. So like this, our bars are progressively increasing as per the term number. So this was about the discussion about the first question. Okay, now let's see the second type of the thing which we have. So this is the second type of pattern which we are going to put. Now see, this pattern is very similar to the last pattern which we learned just now, right? Because see here, there also has to be two loops. One loop is counting the number of terms. Okay, so let's write over here directly. Let's say the number of terms, that is this term, this term, this entire, this term, this entire, this term, and up to n terms. So one loop, or you can like first loop counting the number of terms, first loop counting number of terms, and how long that loop will go, up to n. Okay, and the second loop will count the entities, okay, or the count the numbers in the term, you can say numbers in term, and how long that will learn, that will also learn, and we will decide this. Okay, we are not telling it previously. So there has to be two loops, that's for sure. One loop will count the terms, and the another loop will count the numbers within these terms. Okay. Okay, now see, if I consider the same scenario like the previous one, in the term number 1, this is the term number, and this is the digit number. Okay, in term number 1, how many digits? 1. Term number 2, 1, 2. Term number 3, 1, 2, 3. And up to term number n, when it is term number n, it will be n. So we can see that like the previous one also, here the number of terms are increasing, or the number of digits are increasing as the number of terms increases. Okay, so the loop system will be quite similar to the last one, but here we have a change to make. So the first loop will be like similar to the last one. It will be I equal to 1, I less than equal to n, then I plus plus, then bracket open. Then the next loop, it will be for j equal to 1, j less than equal to I, j plus plus. Now up to this much I hope it is clear, because it is the same as the last one, right? And here also we are separating the two terms by space, that is this space. And how to print this? We will write printf, and in quotes we will print the space. Now what we have to print over here? We will print the value of j. Why? Because the value of j is counting the number of entities to be printed, right? In the previous one, the j was counting the number of bar to be printed, right? If we see the previous one, this one, j was counting the number of bar, that is the j loop was counting the number of bar. For the term number 1, 1 loop. For the term number 2, that is 1, 2. For the term number 3, 1, 2, 3. Now whose are this value? This value belong to the j loop, right? And this value, that is the term number, belong to the I loop. Okay, so whose value we are actually counting over here? The bar value, right? Number of bar we are counting using the j loop. So instead of counting over here, we are going to directly print it over here. So if we print %d, comma j, and if we print j's value over here, we will get the pattern which is this one. Okay, because in the previous one j was counting the number of vertical bars, and here what we are doing, we are just printing the number it is counting. As simple as that. So let's move to VS Code and let's see how we implement this. So we are in our VS Code. The code is quite similar to the last one. We will just make a change over here. So how to make a change over here? Let's see. So we will do nothing. We will just replace this with %d. We will print j over here. And our code is done. So let's run this. It is asking us for the value of n. Let's give it to 5 and see 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Our code is getting printed correctly. If we give any other term, say 8, so it is getting printed accordingly. Right? So this was our type number 2. Okay? So let's now move to the next type of the pattern problem. So we have arrived at the next type of pattern, which is this one. Now see here. For this type of pattern, do we actually need 2 loops? Why? Because see here, this is term number 1. Okay, term number 1. This is term number 2. This is term number 3. This is term number 4. And up to n, the number of terms are like this. Now see here. Do you see any difference over here, that the term number is, that the number of items or the digit over here is increasing as the term number increases? No. Why? Because see, this is also 2 digit, this is also 2 digit, this is also 2 digit, this is also 2 digit. So for this, we don't need any other loop other than counting the terms. We do not need any other loop to count the number of entities, right? So what we can do in this case of in this type of problem. Now see, in this type of problem, what we actually do, when we don't find any link between this term number and the number of items here, what we do, we generally find the difference between the two terms. Now if you find the difference between these two terms, that is 23, and subtract this, you will get a term, 11. Okay. Now if you see the difference between 34 and 23, it is 11. Okay. Similarly, if you want to find 45, 34, it is also there. So what will be my logic? If anyway I print this first term, if I add 11 consecutively with this, we will get our third term, second term, fourth term, up to nth term, like this consecutively, right? So this is our concept. So what we need actually, we will need one loop over here for I equal to 1, I less than equal to n, I plus plus, which will count the number of terms. And what we will print over here? We will print some value over here. Okay. So what will be that value? We will add something, add 11 to the previous value, and we will print. So for printing the previous value, or for storing this 12, which is this first term, what we will do, we will declare a variable over here, int p equal to 12. So if I print percentage D, okay, and P over here, so what will this print? This line will print 12. And after printing 12, what do I have to do? I have to increment the value of P by 11 to get the third term, fourth term, like this. So what will I do? I will write P equal to P plus 11, and after that we will write printf, because you have to separate this two term by spaces, right? These spaces. So we will write printf and give a space over here, and like that. Just now our code is done. So what we are doing, we are declaring a P as 12, which is our first variable, or which is our first item, first term. We are printing this term, okay. After printing this term, we are incrementing this P's value by 11, okay. And after that, when the loop is complete after printing this space, again when this P's value is getting printed, the P's value is already added by 11. So what will this print? 23. After printing 23, P's value will again increment by 11. And after that it will print 34, and like this it will continue up to n term. So now let's move to the compiler and code this. So we are in our compiler, and let's make the changes which are necessary. So we will declare a variable int P equal to 12, which is our first term. And what will I do? I don't need this loop additionally, and I will print the value of P percentage D comma P over here, and then P equal to P plus 11, and we are done. This was our code. So let's run this and see if it's working properly or not. So here it is asking us for the value of n. Let's give it to 6. So our pattern is getting printed, right? If we give some other input also, let's see. Let's give to 5, or let's give to 4, which was our question 1. See? So it is printing 12, 23, 34, 45. So our program is done correctly. Okay, so that's all was the problem number 3, I guess. Okay, so let's now move to the another type of problem which we have in store. That is the next one. That is this one. I hope you can see over here. Oops, I'm sorry. Yeah, I hope it's visible now. So we are going to now discuss this type of pattern or problem. So see here what is being implemented. So here also, if you see the number of terms and the number of entities over here, there is no match. So what I told to do in the previous one, since there was also no match, I told to find the difference. So difference between 1 and 2, it's 1. 2 and 4, it's 2. 4 and 7, it's 3. 7 and 11, it's 4. 11 and 16, it's 5. So what we can see that the difference between these two numbers, or the numbers which is printed, is increasing progressively by 1, right? So what we do here, let's see, we will run a loop like this for I equal to 1, I less than equal to n, I plus plus. So what this loop is doing, this loop is counting number of terms. So let's write here number of terms. Okay, and let's see what's inside this first loop. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to, like the previous one also, we have to print the first term over here. We will declare a variable int P equal to 1. Okay, and what we will do over here, if you see, I will print f the value of P over here, and then with the value of P I have to alternate that one. So what will I do? P equal to P plus I. Okay, and now after doing that, I will give printf and a space to separate these terms. Okay, so done. So we are done. So you have an obvious question that why only 1, means why I am adding I with the P. See here, if you count the difference, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this, who is counting this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? or the 5th term, 4th term, I is counting, right? So if I add the value of I to P, so it will increase accordingly, that is P equal to P plus I, right? So if I add the value of P, that is 1 to I's value, that is 2, so 2 is getting printed. So like this consecutively, this number goes increasing, or the pattern gets printed also, and the I's value also increases. So like this our pattern is going to be printed. So let's implement this in our VS Code so that we can understand in a better way. So we are in our VS Code, and let's see how we do this. Okay, so let's see. So here in our VS Code we are going to make few changes. So we are already accepting the value of n, and we will do this to P equal to P plus I. What will happen is the I's value is going to be added with this one. Okay, we have to declare P equal to 11 over here. Let's run this code and it's done. So let's give it 6 now. So 1, 2, 4, 7, 11, 16. This was our required pattern. If you see the difference between 1 and 2, it's 1. 2 and 4, it's 2. 4 and 7, it's 3. And like this is increasing. So what can I conclude from here? That our program is done. Okay. So let's now go to VS Code and see the next problem, that is factorial of a number. So we are back in the slides. I forgot to write this part, so I wrote this manually or handwritten, as you like it. If you want to change the color, or let's write factorial of number. Now this, you cannot call it a series actually. This is important. Okay, so I'm doing it over here. Factorial of a number. This is our type. Okay, we are going to see the program or see the code how to print factorial of a number. What is factorial? So what is factorial of a number? What is factorial of a number? Now factorial of a number is the product of that number with all the previous number from 1. Okay, so if I have to find the factorial of say 8, so how will I write that code or write that in mathematical terms? It will be, if it is factorial of 8 like this, so factorial is represented by this term. Okay, factorial. So if I want to find the factorial of 8, it will be 1, or it can be like this: 8 into 7 into 6 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So the answer will be something which is the factorial of 8. Similarly, if there is factorial of 5, so it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can be coming backward also, it can come from the front also, but the thing is same. Okay, so how do we do this? So in the first case, what we have to do, we have to ask a number, what is n, which is the user input. N is input of number to find factorial. And next what we have to do is, at the very next what we have to do is, we have to run a loop. Now how long the loop is running? Now see, if my n is 5, how long I am multiplying? I am keeping on multiplying up to I reach this 5, right? If my input is say 4, I want to find the factorial of 4. So what will be 1, 2, 3, 4. So if my input is 4, if my input is n, how long will the product continue? The product calculation will continue up to that number itself. And from what number it will continue? It will continue from 1. So what will I do? I will take a loop which will increment by 1, and how long it will run? It will run up to that number which is whose factorial we are going to find. So let's write over here an I loop for I equal to 1, I less than equal to n. What is n? N is the input of the number whose factorial we are finding, and I plus plus. And what will I do over here? I will store the sum the product in a variable, that is fact. So fact is the variable which is storing the factorial. So fact equal to fact product I. So what will happen over here, see, when the value of I is 1, okay, let's write over here, when the value of I is 1, okay, so I have to initially declare also fact equal to 1, because if fact equal to 0, then nothing will come as output, because entire thing will be 0. So I have to previously, outside this loop, I have to declare fact equal to 1. Okay, so what will happen when I equal to 1? When I equal to 1, the fact becomes 1 into 1 equal to 1, right? Suppose my input is 4, n is 4. Okay, and after that, after calculating this one, the loop will again repeat. At that time I will be equal to 2. So at that time fact equal to, it was 1 previously, it will be 1 into 2 equal to 2. After that I will increment, it will become 3. Then after that it will be 2 into 3 equal to 6. And after that, when it will be 4, it will be 6 into 4, that will be 24. So this was our concept for printing the factorial or finding the factorial. So factorial of 4 is 24. So which is the last value, right? So we will print this last value outside this loop. Similarly, printf %d comma fact. Okay. So let's see how we do this in our VS Code compiler. So this was all about the code. What we are doing, we are just running a for loop up to that number whose factorial we are finding, and inside that loop we are doing the product or storing the product. So let's see in our VS Code this thing, same thing. So we are in our VS Code. So what will I do? I will just declare it int fact over here, fact fact equal to 1, and inside this I will do fact fact product I, and here it will be fact also, and we will erase these things. Okay, and here also we will erase this, and at the end of the loop, when the loop ends, after that brace we will print factorial is this, factorial is %d comma fact, and done. So let's run this code and see if it's working or not. So it is asking us for the value of n. We have already calculated the value of factorial of 4. So let's see. So it is coming 24. We have already calculated in our slide part that the factorial of 4 is 24. So as per our program also, as per our theory also, answer is coming correctly. And if you see again with some other input, with some 5 you say, it is 120. If you multiply 5 with 24, it will be 120 only. So this way our program is working correctly. Now with this you can find factorial of very large number itself. Let's give it to 60, or not 60, let's give it to 8. It is 40,320. So like this, big calculation can be performed in very few seconds using this code, right? So this way our computer help us in finding the factorial of big numbers. Okay, so let's see if we have any other question or not. Okay, so that was all the 5 types of program or the 5 types of series pattern which we have learned today. So till then you can practice few you can practice few series pattern also. I will give the links in the description. Do have a look. So till then, keep learning and keep exploring. Thanks for watching.